July 22nd, 2018. 9:45 p.m. Pay close attention to the man in the white and gray hoodie. Security cameras capture him stepping off the train at MacArthur Station. Pulling down his hood, removing his sunglasses, he glances around the busy platform, then reaches down into his pant leg. He pulls something out, something metallic, and quickly conceals it beneath his sweatshirt. Nobody notices. Not the commuters rushing past, not the transit workers, not even the police officers stationed nearby, but what this man is about to do in the next 10 minutes will shatter an entire family to its core. 20 minutes earlier, 18-year-old Nia Wilson boarded the train with her two sisters, Tashia and Latifa. They were heading home after celebrating their aunt's life, a bittersweet gathering for a woman battling terminal illness. The three young women laughed together, making plans for the week ahead. Nia had just graduated high school. Her whole life stretched before her like an open road. Security footage shows the man in the hoodie following them onto the platform. He sits nearby, watches them through dark sunglasses, studies them. For multiple stops, he doesn't move, doesn't speak, just watches. If you think this is just another commuter on public transit, we think again. The Wilson sisters had no reason to worry that night. The celebration at their Aunt Teresa's home had been emotional, but beautiful family gathered to share stories, laughter, and love while they still could. Around 9 p.m., Nia, Latifa, and Tasha arrived at the Concord BART station to begin their journey home to Oakland. Bay Area Rapid Transit BART is the lifeblood of the region, carrying hundreds of thousands of passengers every single day. To the sisters, this was just another train ride. They'd made this trip countless times, but from the moment they stepped onto that escalator, caught on camera, they were being hunted. The man in the hoodie, later identified as 27-year-old John Lee Cowell, spotted the three young African-American women immediately. Surveillance footage captured every calculated move. He pulled on his hoodie, grabbed his backpack, followed them onto the platform. For 15 long minutes, he waited with them, keeping them in his peripheral vision. Planning, when the train arrived, he boarded right behind them, found a seat nearby, and for stop after stop, he watched them behind those sunglasses. The sisters had no idea they were being stalked. They chatted about the evening, about their plans, about life. Meanwhile, a predator sat mere feet away, waiting for the perfect moment. What happens next is truly shocking. Around 9:35 p.m., the train pulled into MacArthur Station. The sisters needed to transfer to continue their journey home. They gathered their belongings, said goodbye to other passengers they'd been chatting with, and prepared to step onto the platform. Tasha exited the train first, moving toward their connecting line. Then a woman with a baby in a stroller began backing out through the doors. Latifa and Nia waited on the platform, making room for the mother and child. The baby, innocent and smiling, looked at Nia and giggled. "Hi, baby," Nia said, her voice warm and gentle. Those would be among her last words. Latifa later recalled that moment with heartbreaking clarity. The baby was looking at Nia, and Nia said hi to the baby. Me and Nia proceeded to walk onto the BART train. But all you hear is... She paused, the memory still raw, years later, and Nia flung forward. The man had struck without warning. A fatal assault on Nia. Before Latifa could even process what was happening, she felt a sudden impact. The attacker had struck her to punishment for standing next to his target. Before I could turn back, he got me, Latifa said, and that's when Nia screamed my name. Tashia, already on the connecting train, saw her sister stumble. At first, she thought Nia had tripped. Then she saw the severity of the situation. Nia was critically injured. Latifa, standing right beside her, had been severely wounded across the arm and shoulder. The attacker disappeared into the crowd, vanishing like smoke. while chaos erupted around the dying teenager. The train doors had closed. Then they reopened an automated safety feature that would prove both blessing and curse. The woman with the stroller, realizing what had happened, threw her baby's blanket over Nia's neck. Latifa, dealing with her own injuries, pressed the fabric against her baby sister's throat. All I could think of is apply pressure. Latifa remembered. I'm not knowing if I'm hurting her. I'm not knowing if I'm making it worse. A security guard pulled Latifa away. You've been injured too, he told her. But Latifa didn't care about her own condition. All she could think about was Nia lying on that platform, calling her name, Tifa, Tifa, Tifa. I love you. Latifa told her sister, holding her hand, we're gonna get through this. I got you. Baby. I got you. You're my baby sister. But they wouldn't get through this. From the first strike to Nia's final breath took less than 3 minutes. By the time paramedics arrived, 18-year-old Nia Wilson, a recent high school graduate with dreams of opening a dance studio, of becoming an EMT, of helping people, was gone. 9:45 p.m. Nia's father received a frantic phone call from Tashia. Her words came out jumbled, panicked, incomprehensible. All he could make out was Bart. He thought maybe the girls had gotten into an argument with someone on the train. Nothing serious. Just teenagers being teenagers. He had no idea his world was about to end. He rushed to MacArthur Station, his mind racing through possibilities. When he arrived, the scene before him made no sense. Ambulances, police cars, flashing lights painting the night in red and blue. He saw Latifa being loaded into an ambulance. Injuries visible on her arm. What happened? He asked. Go check on Nia. Latifa told him. Her voice hollow. He turned, ran up the stairs to the platform. And then he saw her. His daughter, his baby girl, lying motionless on the concrete. I see my daughter's body, he said later, his voice breaking. It's the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Seeing my baby dead, he stood there, unable to process what his eyes were showing him. Less than an hour ago, Nia had called to say they'd be home soon. Less than an hour ago, she was alive, laughing, planning her future. Now she was gone. And he didn't even know why. He had to call Nia's mother, Alicia. She was at home in Sacramento. How do you tell a mother that her child has been taken? What words possibly exist for that conversation? It was the longest, keenest ride. Alicia said later, I kept waiting for them to call back and say she's okay. But that call never came. While Nia's family tried to comprehend their loss, while Latifa fought for her life in surgery, police were reviewing security footage. What they found was chilling. The man in the hoodie captured on camera following the sisters, sitting near them, watching them, had made one crucial mistake during his escape. After fleeing the scene, he'd run to a nearby parking structure. There, thinking he was away from cameras, he'd ditched his backpack before heading to a bus stop. Surveillance caught it all. Police recovered that backpack within hours. Inside were personal items that immediately identified the killer, 27-year-old John Lee Cowell. When investigators pulled his record, the real outrage began. Cowell was a convicted felon, out on parole. He had prior convictions for assault with a deadly weapon and armed robbery. This was a violent criminal who had already proven he was a danger to society, and the system had released him anyway. How does a man with this history end up free to stalk and target an innocent teenager? Where was his parole officer? Where were the safeguards meant to protect the public from violent offenders? These questions would haunt Nia's family and an entire community for years to come. He is a violent felon who is currently on parole, police announced at a press conference. And we currently have an active arrest warrant for his arrest for the murder of Nia. But finding him would take time during which Nia's killer walked free, time during which her family wondered if justice would ever be served. At Highland Hospital, Latifa woke from surgery to find her family gathered around her bed. Her brother was there, her father, but when she asked for Nia, they hesitated. "Where's Nia?" she demanded. The silence told her everything. When her father finally spoke the words, "She didn't make it," Latifah tried to get out of the hospital bed. "Don't get up. Don't get up," her brother pleaded, holding her down. The physical wounds would heal. The weapon had caused severe physical trauma, but doctors saved her life. The emotional wounds, though, those cut far deeper than any blade. "I still feel that guilt of, I couldn't save her," Latifah said years later, tears streaming down her face. "She was just yelling my name. Tifa. Tifa. Tifa." Survivor's guilt is a special kind of torture. Latifah had been standing right next to Nia. She'd pressed the blanket against her sister's neck, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. She'd told Nia they'd get through this together, but they didn't get through it together. Nia died while Latifah lived, and no amount of therapy, meditation, or time would ever fully erase the weight of that reality. "What did you say to her in those final moments?" an interviewer asked. "I love her," Latifah whispered. "And we're gonna get through this. And I said I got you. Baby. I got you. You're my baby sister." Those were the last words Nia heard. Words of love from her sister. Words that promised a future that would never come. Nearly 12 hours after the attack, police finally released Cowell's photo and information to the public. 12 hours. For a violent felon with a history of assault who had just taken a teenager's life. The delay infuriated Nia's family and the broader Oakland community. Why did it take so long? What if he attacked someone else during those 12 hours? What if he escaped? "When I tell you all my brothers, sisters, cousins, everybody was looking for him," Latifah said. News of Nia's murder spread like wildfire across social media. Posts used the hashtag #SayHerName, originally created to bring awareness to Black women and girls who were victims of police brutality. The movement had grown to encompass all victims of anti-Black violence, and Nia's story resonated deeply. Around 1,000 people gathered at MacArthur Station for a vigil. They demanded justice. They honored Nia's memory. They refused to let her story be forgot. And then, during that very vigil, police got the break they needed. An anonymous caller reported seeing a man matching Cowell's description on a BART train, headed directly toward MacArthur Station. Toward the vigil. Toward the scene of his crime. Was he planning to attack again? Was he coming back to gloat? Nobody knew. But police weren't taking chances. Officers stationed themselves at MacArthur, waiting for the train. When it arrived, they searched every car. Nothing. He'd somehow slipped past them. But at Pleasant Hill Station, about 20 minutes away, other officers boarded the train, and there, standing right in the doorway, as if he had nothing to hide, was John Lee Cowell. Body camera footage shows the arrest. "How you doing today?" an officer asks casually. "Good," Cowell replies. "Calm as can be." "What's your name?" "Sia." John Cowell. He doesn't run. Doesn't fight. Just lets them arrest him without incident. Less than 24 hours after he took Nia Wilson's life and nearly ended Latifah's, the manhunt was over, but the fight for justice was just beginning. In February 2020, John Lee Cowell went on trial for murder. His defense? Not guilty by reason of insanity. Cowell had a documented history of mental illness. His attorneys argued he couldn't be held responsible for his actions because he didn't understand what he was doing. When he testified, he leaned hard into this defense, claiming he believed the Wilson sisters were aliens who had kidnapped his grandmother. He just made a mockery out of it, Latifah said with disgust. The things he was talking about up there because he wanted to feign insanity. District Attorney Butch Ford wasn't buying it. When he attempted to play surveillance video showing Cowell's calculated stalking and escape, Cowell erupted. He started screaming, yelling, cussing at me. Ford recalled, telling me that I knew he was innocent and simply disrupting the court. Even after the judge repeatedly warned him to stop, Cowell continued his rant. Eventually, he was removed from the courtroom entirely. But his performance didn't help his case. It exposed the calculated nature of his supposed insanity. Prosecutors had uncovered something damning. recorded phone calls Cowell made while in custody. In those calls, he admitted to stopping his psychiatric medication deliberately so he could appear more unstable when the trial started. "I think it was an absolute show," Ford said flatly. The surveillance footage told the real story. Cowell had targeted the sisters specifically. He'd waited and watched. He'd planned his attack and his escape, even bringing a change of clothes. He'd hidden the weapon in his pant leg before boarding the train. After the assault, he'd ditched his backpack in a parking structure and calmly walked to a bus stop. These weren't the actions of someone who didn't know right from wrong. These were the actions of a predator who knew exactly what he was doing. The prosecution also considered hate crime charges. Security footage showed Cowell ignored numerous other passengers, including other women, before fixating on the 3 African American sisters the moment they appeared. There were many women and people who entered the BART platform, Ford noted. He did not focus on any of them. As soon as he saw 3 young African American women, he fixated on them. While in custody, Cowell had gone out of his way to harass an African American deputy, hurling racial abuse. "There's no doubt in my mind that the assault was racially motivated," Ford stated. Latifah agreed. "You killed her because of her skin," she said. "You didn't kill her for anything else." But proving a hate crime in court is notoriously difficult. Instead, Ford recommended seeking premeditated murder with the special circumstance of lying in wait, the fact that Cowell watched and followed the sisters before attacking. If convicted, this would ensure life without parole. The family agreed. They wanted him locked away forever. The judge ruled that Cowell was sane at the time of the attack. His elaborate performance fooled no one. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder of Nia Wilson, attempted murder of Latifah Wilson, and the special circumstance of lying in wait. John Lee Cowell was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. "He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison," Latifah said. "So I really think justice was served, and I know Nia is smiling down on her family, her sisters, her friends, all her loved ones, the community. I know she can rest in peace. But justice, when it comes, doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't bring Nia back. It doesn't erase the trauma Latifah carries every single day. It doesn't heal their father's broken heart or give their mother back the daughter she lost. It's still a shock and overwhelming." Latifah admitted, "Parts of me don't want to believe what's going on, and parts of me have to face reality. Nia's father suffered a stroke from the stress and grief. I don't speak too clear," he said, his words slightly slurred. "I have limited use of my right side. The man who killed his daughter didn't just take Nia's life, he shattered an entire family's health, happiness, and sense of safety in the world." The name Nia comes from Swahili, meaning purpose. And even in death, Nia Wilson's purpose continues. Her funeral drew hundreds of people. She was dressed in gold and white, had a white casket. Her mother, Alicia, recalled, "They gave her a carriage ride, released doves. It was beautiful." Her high school held a special graduation ceremony, posthumously awarding Nia her diploma. The class of 2018 is not complete without one more graduate. The principal announced, "I'm very proud." Nia's father said, "This is an achievement that me and my daughter sat down and spoke of several times, and it's so heartbreaking that she's not here to experience this for herself." NBA star Steph Curry dedicated a high school basketball showcase to Nia, raising over $20,000 for her family. Tributes poured in from celebrities, strangers, and community members across the nation. In 2019, the Wilson family created the Nia Wilson Foundation, dedicated to providing mental health counseling, homeless outreach, self-defense classes, and employment opportunities for young men and women. Nia had dreamed of helping people, whether as an EMT, a paramedic, or through criminal justice work. Her foundation carries that dream forward. "When I think of Nia, I think of sunshine," her mother said. "Big, bright, beautiful smile. That was my baby." A sister's love can never be defined, Latifah added softly. Nia Wilson's murder forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our justice system. John Lee Cowell was a convicted violent felon. He had assaulted people with deadly weapons before. He had committed armed robbery. Yet he was released on parole, free to stalk and target an innocent teenager on public transportation. Where was the oversight? Where were the check-ins? The monitoring? The intervention that might have prevented this tragedy? How many other violent offenders are walking free right now, waiting for their next victim? And why did it take police 12 hours to release Cowell's information to the public after they'd identified him? 12 hours during which he could have attacked someone else. 12 hours during which he could have fled the state or the country. These aren't just rhetorical questions. These are failures that cost Nia Wilson her life. Her family thinks of her every day. They work to honor her memory through the foundation. They find strength in small moments. Nia's father with his therapy dog. Latifah through meditation and counseling. Tashia by speaking out about violence and its impact. I always say, Nia, you make me a better person. Her mother said, I carry my daughter's name with a heavy weight. So whatever I do, I think about her. I think Nia wants to be remembered for how she loved people, how she cared for people. Latifah said, her passion for people and rights for everybody. Nia was passionate about fighting for equal rights. She constantly put others ahead of herself. She had even told her family that if she were ever a victim of a racially motivated attack, she wanted them to keep fighting, to hold the attacker accountable. In death, Nia got her wish. Her family fought, the community rallied. Justice, however imperfect, however painful, was served. Me and my daughters, and the rest of us, will see this through. Nia's father vowed, we will make it. Even though it's very hard, and it's something that we think about for the rest of our lives. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. John Lee Cowell will spend the rest of his life behind bars. A violent predator, finally caged. But Nia Wilson, just 18 years old, full of dreams and purpose and light, will never dance again. Never help patients as an EMT. Never open that studio she dreamed about. Her final moments, caught on camera, serve as a stark reminder: evil exists. It can strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. And sometimes, the systems designed to protect us fail in the most catastrophic ways possible. Remember Nia Wilson. Say her name. And demand better from a justice system that allowed her killer to walk free in the first place. Because the next victim could be someone you love,